There have been people that have been through the most horrific experiences in life, and they found a way to still be happy because they've made the decision that life is too short to suffer. Hunger to grow more, to be more, to give more, to do more, to share more, to become more. Then you're never going to be bored, and you're always going to grow, and you're going to have fulfillment, and you're going to succeed. Beliefs create and beliefs destroy. So boy, we better be clear whether our beliefs are creating something good or whether it's destroying something. Your life is not your life. The life you experience is the life you focus on. Beliefs become self-fulfilling. See, once you believe something, you don't see anything else. I've done this with your audience before. I said, look around the room and find brown. Everybody looks around. And I say, now with your eyes closed, tell me you saw that was red. And nobody sees much red. And I say, open your eyes, look for red. And they find more red. Why do you find more red? Because you get what you look for. Your beliefs condition you to find. And then I say, how many saw, I said, you even saw things that weren't there. How many saw beige stuff, called it brown just to feel successful? And they all laugh. We all need principles to guide our decision making. If you really think about it, success is the result of good judgment, right? If you make great decisions, you're going to succeed.
Good day, everyone. Behind me, you can see a bunch of books written by this author, Tony Robbins. Writer, life coach, and motivational speaker. He's famous in America, but not only in America, for having built an empire in the personal development and self-improvement industry. His message centers on personal growth, self-betterment, and overcoming fear, and valuable stuff like that. By the way, he also appears in the movie with Jack Black, Shallow Hole, the name of the movie is. In the film, Black Jack plays a guy who's kind of in his own world, self-centered and superficial. Eventually, he meets Tony Robbins himself, who talks some sense into him and brings him back down to earth. That's actually how I first heard about this Tony Robbins guy. I had never come across him before then. And just saying, the movie is fine. I like Jack Black, but overall the movie itself is nothing special. So anyway, that's Tony Robbins. He's one of those, I don't know if I can call him an influencer, because today that word has a specific meaning tied to YouTube, Instagram, and social media in general. But he is a motivator, someone who gives motivational speeches and writes motivational books. He claims to teach you ways to improve yourself, to face life with your head held high, and to pursue success that's supposedly within everyone's reach. And I'm not going to comment on the actual value of what he teaches. I know who he is, but I don't follow him. I've probably seen a couple of clips. Still, I have a pretty clear idea what he represents. And that's exactly what I want to talk about today, more than the man himself. Specifically, I want to talk about what we might call the Tony Robbins Paradox, which is very relevant today, given the explosion of life coaches and influencers all over social media, especially the most popular one, YouTube. So here's the point. Tony Robbins Paradox. The dude became successful, he's successful, and therefore it teaches you how to be successful. So far so good. Who better than someone who went from nothing to billionaire status to teach you the secret of success? However, this is where the Tony Robbins Paradox comes in. What is the Tony Robbins Paradox? Well, Robbins became successful by teaching people how to become successful. Comes to you and says, listen to me, I'm successful, so I know what I'm talking about. Right, I get it, but you became successful by telling people like me to listen to you because you're successful. That doesn't make sense, does it? I mean, if I wanted to follow the exact same path, become a coach, influencer, or motivator like him, sure, then what he says makes sense and could be useful since he has experience in that area and valuable expertise on the subject. But Robbins markets himself to the general public, not just to aspiring influencers or life coaches, right? And that's where the problem lies. So let me reiterate the main point. Robbins tells people how to become rich, famous and successful, but he himself became rich, famous and successful by telling others how to become rich, famous and successful. And that's the paradox. It reminds me of Catch 22, the paradox Joseph Heller describes in his novel. A rule that seems to offer a choice, but because of circular logic, actually offers none. There's only one possible outcome and you're stuck with it. In the novel, pilots in wartime could request to be grounded if they were insane, but the very act of asking not to fly proved they were sane. Total logical paradox, a dog chasing its own tail, if you will. Something similar happens with Tony Robbins' teachings. They have an underlying built-in logical flaw that invalidates the premise. The logical premise is his success, which is supposed to qualify him as a coach. The result, on the other hand, is his success, which is the outcome of him being a coach. Same exact thing, as you might have noticed. The premise and the desired outcome, cause and effect, coincide. That's logically nonsensical. Robbins wants to teach you how to become rich and famous, but he became rich and famous by teaching that. If he hadn't written books explaining how to become rich and famous, he never would have become rich and famous in the first place. That's entirely his business model, after all. Without it, he would have had no credibility to sell advice on success. Now, how many people like this do you find on YouTube? Tons, I'd say. Take the financial advice space, for example. Since the 2020 crisis, when the government all across the Western world were handing out stimulus checks, aka helicopter money, there's been an explosion of coaches claiming they could teach you how to make money, the financial markets, crypto, ETFs, stocks, etc. And that's when the phenomenon some have called the trader porn was born. Random nobodies posing on private jets or in luxury apartments surrounded by piles of cash. Like, I don't know, crime boss kingpins, like the Spider-Man villain. The problem is these people don't make money in the market. They make money selling you advice on how to make money in the market. Look how rich I am, want to be rich too? Do this, do that, attend this course, buy this book, you know the deal. And meanwhile, that is how they get rich. There isn't some other business behind it, nor is there some generous plan to share the method or their success with you. You watching their videos and buying their courses are their success. The full Tony Robbins method. Now, if you find someone who's genuinely successful in a real field and wants to teach you the specifics of the business they succeeded in, that's a different thing. That's technical and perfectly justified. Example, I founded a biotech startup and I show you how to do it. That makes sense, you know what you're talking about. But I teach you how to get rich and famous by giving motivational speeches that made me rich and famous. Logically, that doesn't work, and practically, it's extremely unlikely to work. I'm not saying Tony Robbins is dishonest. I'm not trying to insult him. He's doing his job, and if people buy his books and actually find them motivational and helpful, good for them. And good for him for cashing in. It's a legitimate business. But here's the thing. Robbins is successful because he teaches others how to succeed. Unless he's actually teaching you to do his job, the whole influencer mind guru thing, the logic totally falls apart. That's all I wanted to say. Feel free to leave comments. Again, I haven't read any Tony Robbins work, but I've heard plenty about him. And it's not about him specifically. You see, today YouTube is packed with people selling you the dream of getting rich while they get rich selling you the dream, and for nothing else. Here's something you have probably heard before, and something you should be careful about and remember. Someone who's truly making millions in the stock market won't share their method with you, let alone sell it for pennies compared to the wealth they claim to have made. They just won't. The financial markets are competitive, a zero-sum game. The money you make doesn't come from nowhere. You take it from people who don't know how to trade. It makes even less sense than for a genuinely successful trader to teach you how to do it. It's like a wolf teaching Kung Fu to sheep. Alright then, that's all for today. Have a great day, evening, morning, night, whatever it is, and see you in the next video.